Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not, and welcome back to Dis-Cember 2023. We are taking a look at Don't Look Under the Bed, which is a movie. I actually reviewed this back in 2019 for Halloween Horror Month, but it was a casualty of the copy deletion before I realized I didn't have to, because this is the reviews. I'm not actually, whatever. But here I am. It's weird that I didn't delete all the Dis-Cember stuff. Everything else, though, I don't know. Maybe I just decided whatever, Dis-Cember, Because I did do one in 2019, didn't I? I feel like I did. Anyway, Don't Look Under the Bed. It's a 1999 Disney Channel original movie starring Aaron Chambers, Eric Ty Hodges II, Steve Valentine, in one of his first of many appearances in Disney Channel original movies. Robin Riker in her second of a few Disney Channel original movies. I know of two. The other one I know is Brink. It's Stephen Tobolowsky with a beard, which is very weird. And Rudy Holcomb, whatever her name is. She was like a Disney Channel regular. I don't remember what she did, but she was already Rudy Hanscom. I don't know. I don't know. Her character doesn't do anything in this movie anyway. And the story is that Francis Bacon McCausland is being framed. I wish I had a frame like Larry does in the movie. He's being framed by the boogeyman by the boogeyman is doing a bunch of pranks. Why? We don't know yet. But to save the day is Larry Houdini, an imaginary friend, but not her imaginary friend, who's trying to stop the boogeyman from causing all this havoc. But everything points to Frances, and even her parents and teachers are blaming her. And it's up to Larry to save the day with Frances's help, and Frances's little brother Darwin is there too. So, this is one of my favorites. It's in my top 10. Love this movie. Right? So, I'm going to correct something. I've heard that this movie was banned after its first airing. Bullshit. It aired on Disney Channel for years. Yes, a lot of the airings were late at night, but it aired for years on the Disney Channel. No, this wasn't banned. It's dark, and it has some subject matters, like they go over leukemia. It's quickly brushed over, but they have the topic of leukemia in this movie. The character of Darwin having leukemia, and then the older brother Bert is the one that gave him the bone marrow for it, and it's what causes the issue, So we meet our main character, Francis, played by Aaron Chambers. You may know from Drake and Josh, or one of the Janai from Stargate Atlantis. She was in that. And if you watch soaps, she was in like General Hospital or something like that. So I looked up her stuff. Eric Ty Hodges II plays Larry. But we gotta start with Frances. Excuse me. Frances, we meet Frances and we find out some stuff. Her family. Her dad's neurotic. Yes, he's very neurotic. He's the one that does the cooking and the cleaning in the house. And if it was anyone other than Stephen Tobolowsky, it wouldn't work. But Stephen Tobolowsky is great as this. Is great with this kind of stuff, these weird roles. It works. Watch him in Glee. He plays those kind of roles very well. He was also in Heroes. I don't think that role suited him very well. He was playing a very serious character. I don't think it worked. He needs to play more quirky, odd characters like this and Sandy in Glee. But, on Glee. But it works. The mom is a little more, I would say, controlling. She's the one that's always urging her husband to just kind of let Francis figure it out, So they wake up and they feel like it's a little early, right? But they're looking through and there's no eggs. So cold cereal again, and the dad informs them it's 4:23 a.m. I think, and so they gotta go back to bed because they're supposed to get up at 7. I think. Yeah. And so right away we see um, her and her friend Joanna walking to school, Joe. And this is where we get the exposition dump, right? Telling us what happened. Her younger brother Darwin had leukemia. Bert, the older brother, was one that gave him the bone marrow. Frances skipped a grade, which has caused her to feel like she needs to grow up. And also what happened with Darwin has also caused her to need to grow up. There's wink wink. And as they're walking to school, she sees Larry. You know. Which he's confused why she can see him. Yeah. But we see that Joe has a crush on Bert. This goes nowhere because Joe goes nowhere. See, I could sum up Joe's scenes like this. She and Frances walk to school. She discusses she has a crush on Bert. They walk home from school. She goes to the next day. They go to walk together to school again, but there's big plants that spells out Joe loves Bert. Bye, Joanna, that's it. She's gone. She's mentioned later by Larry. Like your friend Joanna used to say, get real, Francis, or your former friend thinks to the boogeyman. Yeah, we never see her again. That's never come. It never comes back to that character. We never, she's mentioned once, but she may never come back. We never see her again. She's just gone, right? So Francis goes to school, and we're introduced to Mr. Kepler, who is the science teacher, and he has this nice shiny car. Be a shape if anything happened to it. Flash to the boogeyman on the roof throwing eggs on the car. Yes, and Larry fighting the eggs. We don't see the boogeyman yet because we don't know who it is. Boogeyman is played by Steve Valentine in his first of many appearances in Disney Channel original movies. I know off the top of my head, Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie, right? Avalon High, which I haven't seen, but I know he's in it. And there's, I can't remember anymore. Was he in one of the Twitches? I don't know. I know he's in quite a few. He was also a series regular on the Disney XD show, I'm in the Band. He played Derek Jupiter, the lead singer of the band, although he didn't actually sing the songs. I think it was Jess Harnell's band that sang the songs. It sounds like him. Rock gotta go home. Rock gotta go home. And nothing to prove. Better rock gotta go home. One of my favorite songs from that is Punch Stuff. I wanna punch stuff. I wanna punch stuff. I wanna punch, bam, boom, slam, kick, punch stuff. Yeah. But yeah, he's in this. He plays the boogeyman, or as we'll find out later, Boogie Person. I'll explain that later. But the boogeyman is targeting Frances. Why? We don't know yet, but excuse me, I messed up. He is targeting Frances, doing stuff like throwing eggs at Mr. Kepler's car, right? Putting gelatin in the swimming pool, and to this day I still don't see how they didn't know that before they jumped in. Gelatin's very noticeable, and they have to call it gelatin because Jello is a trademark. Bees in the school, and there's a bee on everyone's locker except for Frances's locker, and what's on the inside. Lead people to believe it's her. This causes issues, and she talks with Larry, who explains that he's an imaginary friend and that he's tracked the boogeyman down, trying to take the boogeyman out. But he's not her imaginary friend. We find out later that he's Darwin's imaginary friend, her little brother. Darwin's imaginary friend. And we find out that Darwin doesn't believe in him either because Frances told him he had to grow up when he had his leukemia surgery thing. Yeah. But Larry sticks around because Darwin still needs him. You know what I mean? Even though they don't think you need him, think they need you. They need you. But, yeah. So since Francis can see him, he wants her help taking care of the boogeyman. So they go to the library because he needs a book. Le Livre de Boogie. The boogie book. And then we have this scene where he's singing to kids, and this librarian is the most annoying thing. Okay, here is the thing. I learned this a long time ago in school. When someone's making noise and you want to be quiet, don't go shh, 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 shh. Because that is even more louder than whatever noise the person was making. Because here's the thing. We're in school, we whisper to each other, we talk, and then you have to go shh, 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 shh. And we're just going, and they're just going shh, shh, shh. That's louder than what we were doing. What's the point? She say, hey, can you be quiet? You're going shh, shh, shh. That's louder than whatever noise we were making, And the kids are just kind of laughing. She goes shh, shh. Which does lead to a funny moment where Larry's just going shh, 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 woo, woo, shh, 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 shh. It's kind of funny. Larry sings that if you're happy, clap your hands, but it's different. If you're Larry and you know it, clap your hands. Imaginary and you know it, clap your hands. If the boogeyman is scary, then you just call on Larry. If you need me and you know it, clap your hands. And then they'll shh, 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 shh. Again, they're clapping their hands like this. A lot quieter than you. Shh, shh, shh. And then Larry jumps into the TV in a knight's costume. I just like how he's talking to the kids and he sees Francis on the side of the TV. Oh, hey, Francis, how you doing? I like that. I like Eric Tyhauser II. Made known as Larry Beale from Ian Stevens. I might have mentioned that. I don't know. Ren got enough. Ren got enough. Ha ha. Ren got enough. Ren got enough. He should have been on that show more. He was only for 30 episodes. Who knows? But he's great in this. I think he's great. So he's going to use the book to make a temptrifuge. Yeah. But he needs to lure him, so he's going to make some boogie goo. But before this, we have a scene that would not be put in the movie on Disney Channel nowadays. Frances gets out of the shower wearing a towel on her head and here, right? And Larry is in the mirror, and she freaks out, rightfully so. She's like, "Get out of there!" He's only in the mirror though because he's not behind her, so he's in the mirror, and he says he's got to make boogie goo. Like, he's in the garage making the temptrifuge, and then later in the kitchen when they're having a dinner party, right? The parents invite over this counselor who was in an earlier scene when they were accusing Francis of doing all this stuff, And she mentions the eggs, and then the gelatin, kind of put into, But he's making the boogie goo, which has a bunch of stuff like fried chicken, daily required iron, some kind of, a bunch of crap, rotten stuff, whatever. It's supposed to tempt the boogeyman. Now, Larry is starting to act a little different. His eyes are a little weird. His nails are growing. This is where we find out from the boogie book, Le Livre de Boogie, which I like to say that boogeymen are born when the person of imaginary friend is tasked with protecting, forgets about them or stops believing in them before it's their time. Because we are told that the imaginary friends, when it's time for their friends to grow up, they move on. So, which becomes sort of an issue later on in the movie. We'll talk about it. But when this happens, you start to realize, oh, I think I know why the boogeyman is going after Frances. If you really think about it, you could figure it out. Even though he does ask her, "Do you ever have an imaginary friend?" She's like, "No, I never. No. What's this be a boogie thing then?" But during this, the mom comes in and sees the boogie goo cooking in the kitchen, right? And then we find Larry inside the pot full of boogie goo because he's not forgot. This is where we find out the truth about the boogeyman. But Darwin steps in some boogie goo and runs upstairs. In Francis's room, Okay, so we've already established at this point that the boogeyman is underneath Francis's bed because that's who he's targeting. So, Francis's first thought here is that her and Larry are going to have a conversation in Darwin's room, and Darwin is going to go into her room. Why? Now, we established that she doesn't believe in the boogeyman at this point. Like, there's a whole scene where it's before this, like night before or whatever, where Larry's on the roof trying to stop the boogeyman from putting lights on the roof. And she clearly sees that Larry's fighting with someone, but she can't see the boogeyman because she doesn't believe. Because she can see Larry? She doesn't believe in Larry. It's never explained why she can see Larry. She just can. She doesn't believe in Larry. Why can she see him? Darwin stopped believing in Larry. He can't see him. So why can she? The only thing I can think of is that the man in the head, the guy in charge of the imaginary people, knew that Larry would need help, and so made it so Francis could see him. Because it was, spoiler alert, her imaginary friend that is the boogie person. Yeah. So the boogeyman takes Darwin into the boogie world. And this is where we get a pretty cool transition. So Larry takes the centrifuge, which is built from a vacuum, I guess, into the boogie world where he gets unplugged. But Francis follows him. We get a transition where she's crawling in the bed, and then it transitions to where she's hanging off the cliff. Larry saves her, but Larry is also transforming into a boogeyman. So, it's eventually that does catch up with him, but they are able to kind of fight off the boogeyman. By the way, Darwin's in a giant sock that Francis can't get undone. But Larry completely turns into a boogeyman. But she's able to convince Darwin to believe in Larry, although he doesn't. No, if you pay attention to this scene, he's like, you gotta clap for Larry. Who's Larry? Come on, clap for Larry. Clap for Larry. I believe, Larry, I believe. And then he's immediately yelling for Francis. Come on, Francis, help me. I'm like, he doesn't believe, but he does because plot, the boogie stuff bursts off. To make boogeyman makeup on him is fantastic. Right? So he uses the centrifuge to make boogeyman old. Now, here is where he becomes an old woman. And he even says, come on, get her, friend. Get her. But then it sparks, and it's back to being Steve Valentine again. Right? So, this is where Francis decides that she realizes it is her imaginary friend, Susie. I forget her name. Whatever her name is, right? And then this is where there's like, boogeyman is a girl? I'm just like, but you said she earlier, man. But yeah, the girl. And that's where we boogie piss, and the boogie world disappears, and they're back in Francis's room where the parents come in. They can't see Larry, and there's dialogue where like Darwin's trying to say it was the boogeyman, and the parents don't believe him, and then he's talking to Larry saying, "I'm glad I could believe in you again. Like, you're not gonna go anywhere, are you?" To Larry. He doesn't say Larry because if he did, the parents would think he's cuckoo pants. So, a really convoluted thing, they think he's talking to Francis because he doesn't say the word Larry. But we know he's talking to Larry, but, whatever. He says he's not going to leave Darwin. He's still going to stay there. But we get a report, and this is how they wrap up the Francis being framed storyline. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, this takes place in a town called Middleburg. Yeah, it's a fictional town that sort of exists in its own cinematic universe. There's another movie, Quince, also takes place in Middleburg, but I think that's the only other movie that does. It's very weird continuity here. But Centerville, another town with just a generic name, has also had experienced the same thing. So I think the same people were involved there, and they had moved on from here to Centerville. That's how they end that story. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry, Francis. There's happening there now, so we know it's not you." What a weak way to end that story, right? It's weak. It's weak. You know, because obviously they can't prove it's the boogeyman. The parents aren't going to believe it's the boogeyman. So, you know. Yeah. Larry says he's going to stay. And Zoe. Zoe is the imaginary friend's name. This is where we get to talk that, okay, this is where I don't get it. So, she says that when Darwin had his surgery for the leukemia, she believes she had to grow up and she let Zoe go, right? However, didn't his surgery had to be at least a year or so ago, right? It can't be that far back. She's supposed to be, what, 14, 13? Because she jumped to high school. She's supposed to be 13 here. By the way, ain't no way Erin Chambers was 13. She's like 16. Again, it's the Lizzie McGuire thing. She's playing 13 in the Lizzie McGuire movie, but she was 16 there. So, you know, that sort of thing. You can tell. There's no way that's a 13-year-old. She's supposed to be 13 in high school, right? And I think the issue here is that, yes, if she was in fact 13, it would make sense. But the actress is 16 at this point. So quite obviously, it doesn't make sense that she would still be believing in it. She doesn't look 13 to me. That's the thing. She's older than I am. She's like in her 40s right now. But, yeah. So then Larry says that, Larry's always saying that she's not going to be able to see them again. But she's like, well, you said you just told Darwin, I'll be back to see Darwin. You just won't be seeing us. We'll be around, you just won't see us. And this is where I start thinking, wait a minute, how come she could see you to begin with? You know, like, she's like, well, I believe in you now. Yeah, but you didn't believe in him before and you still saw him, so just, I don't know, it's still confusing. But Larry kisses her. I wanna go back to that scene earlier where he was spying on her in the shower. Just now he's kissing her. Larry, no. You know, and then I do like it. She's like, I mean, I'm too old. I mean, you know. But also, I think Larry Ty Hodges II might also be playing younger than he was. I don't know. He's imaginary, so it doesn't matter. But the movie ends, happy ending. You know, with her and Darwin in bed. You know, Darwin comes in because he got a little scared, and they're talking. Like, Big Sister are gonna help him. By the way, Bert just sort of disappears halfway through this movie. He's like never really like. There's a dinner scene, and then once the Boogie Goo scene comes, he's just gone. By the way, there's a scene where Larry has used the what do you call it, the mixer or the food processor to shred some sweaty gym socks. Bert's sweaty gym socks through the thing, and it's in the pudding. Now, they make it seem like this is Larry's fault because he didn't wash out the food processor. How didn't the dad notice this? The dad made his fruity thing, right? His fruity is it's like a pudding type dessert thing. How did dad not notice the sock pieces in there? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I'm going to say this is pretty good. So what are your thoughts? Don't look under the bed. Leave a comment below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.